Los Angeles, California. How's everybody doing? I hope all is well. I hope everybody's feeling okay. The world is beautiful, depending upon which angle you look at it from. If you look at the messiness of our democracy right now, as we have a couple of idiots running for public office, it's very easy to become a little bit disenchanted, if not depressed, when you look at the caliber of folk who want to be president right now. It is depressing. But to have two persons who want to be commander in chief having this kind of public argument is just, amateurish at best and fickle at worst, if you will. They would stoop to this low. I mean, this is a new low. We have two persons who want to have the codes to the nuclear arsenal of the most powerful country on the planet. They want to command America's military operations. They want to command the United States Army, the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force. They want to command and oversee the Secret Service, the CIA. They want to be in charge of the most powerful country on earth. And the level of their discussion is who boinked someone else's wife and who cheated on their wife. This is what you all want for a commander-in-chief? I think this is beneath us. I think this is the worst I've ever seen. I mean, sometimes show me something that I have never seen before. This I have not seen. And I go back to the day of Gary Hart when he was running for president. And the media, the reporters, accused him of cheating on his wife. This was not another candidate who was running for political office or running for the presidency who decided to bring the story out. This was a reporter. And most of the other guys who were running for president decided not to comment, saying, hey, that's beneath me. I'm not even going to comment on that kind of story. That is not what this process is about. But, excuse me, I'm getting choked thinking about these guys. But when it comes to the Donald, excuse me again, and Ted Cruz and these other imbeciles who are in the Republican Party, keep in mind, these are supposed to be compassionate conservatives. These are church-going, God-loving, Bible-thumping Christians. Let them tell it. It has always amazed me how wicked, how abhorrent some of these folk who claim to love God can be toward each other. I said, while serving a sentence on a wrongful conviction for a crime that I did not commit, sitting in jail, I remember saying to someone that I don't even introduce myself as a Christian. I do not. Because 90% of the time in jail, when someone told me I am a devout Christian, I mean, from staff members all the way down to fellow inmates, they were normally thugs. They were normally evil. They were normally wicked. They would cut your head off. They were cutthroats. I mean, I'm thinking of a guy in particular at this moment, Fred Schroeder. He rose to the rank of associate warden at New Folsom State Prison, would immediately identify himself via introduction to you as a devout Christian. He went to church every Sunday, and he studied evil every Monday. He was as evil as they come. He was heartless. He had the heart of steel, just a wicked man. But he was a churchgoer and a Bible thumper. And so, time and time again, I would meet up with folk who would tell you how much they love God, but show you how much they hated their brothers and sisters. And this is what I'm reminded of. I mean, I don't even think we should put Donald in that category, because here's a guy who was sitting in church faking, and they were doing communion. And as they were passing out Holy Communion, Donald tried to put money in the communion plate because he'd never done communion before. Okay, here's a guy who calls the book Second Corinthians 2 Corinthians. And Jerry Falwell had the audacity and the temerity to accept Donald as a Christian and to take a large donation from him on the down low for the endorsement that Jerry gave him. So basically, he sold his endorsement and miss me with all of sin and falling short. I don't want to hear any of the pat answers that we give when we're normally trying to, justify our sinful ways and our wickedness. Miss me with all of that. I don't have time for that. We can do that some other time when I'm in the mood for it. At this point, I am not in the mood for playing church house games. Normally when I've been caught doing something that I shouldn't do, then I'll wave all this sin and come short of God's, wave that in your face. Normally when I've been caught living in a way that I should not be living, then I'll tell you about, how Christ is merciful and forgiving. And that's Christ. I'm not Christ. I'm one of his crazy kids. And as such, I'm in a crazy mood this evening. And so I'm just in one of those tell it like a TIE's moods. And the bottom line is Donald is a fake. He wouldn't know Christ if he slapped him in the face. He's not a Presbyterian or any other kind of Tyrian. He's not a person who has confessed Christ as his Savior. And that is what you have to do to be born again. And so he doesn't even believe in being born again. So let's not waste each other's time and pretend that we believe that Donald is some kind of Christian. He is not. If there is a hell, and I believe with all my heart that there is, he will burn in hell. He will burn in hell. He's just as phony as that hair in the top of his head. He's a devil. And so we can't even put him in that classification. At least Ted Cruz has been to church. I mean, he's a fake and a phony and a crook too. But he's been to church. He knows what communion is. He's one of those, phonies who will go to church forever and has been going and just is in love with himself more than he can ever love God. And when you run into those kind of people, there's nothing you can do for them. You can't change them. You just have to keep on moving. I've learned that in life, and I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist. I'm an incurable optimist. But in that optimism, I also find a strong sense of realism. And the bottom line is, when it comes to a guy like Ted Cruz, when you run into people like him, you're not going to change them. Just keep on moving. Walk past them. Do you, as they would say. Do you. You are not going to change Ted Cruz. That was a time in my life when I thought you could, have a debate with him and change him. But at some point I realized that when a guy has been living on this planet for 40 or 50 years, and all of the programming and the ideas and the ideology and the psychology that has gone into making him who he is, all of the cultural experiences that he has experienced to become the person that he has become, there is nothing I'm going to say in a 5 or 10 minute discussion that's going to change him. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. If there is to be a metamorphosis, the only way that can transpire is by a direct hit from Almighty God. He's the only one who can see a guy walking down the streets on the road to Damascus and then blind him for 3 days and make Paul say, or Saul say, what must I do to be saved? Only believe in the Lord and you shall be saved. God can do all of that, but I'm not God. Okay? And it took me a long time to realize that emotionally. I recognize it intellectually, but emotionally I had to realize that I'm not that effective. I'm not going to sing a certain song, give a certain speech that is going to immediately cause a metamorphosis or a transmogrification or a transformation in someone else's life. Not going to happen. So when I run up on guys like Ted, I keep moving. I don't even engage. I don't even waste my time. When you find youngsters who are still trying to figure out who they are and what their political ideology is going to be, when they're still trying to discover what the world is all about, oftentimes you can present them with substance and with material and with ideas and with books that can help to alter the course of their lives, that can help to affect who they become when you run into youngsters. But when you run into these old fools like Ted, leave him alone. He'll never change. He'll never change. Jesus Christ of Nazareth could show up in the flesh, sit down on the pew right next to Ted and say, hey, Ted, you know what? You're wrong, man. You shouldn't be proselytizing these ideas that you are propagating. You are absolutely wrong, Ted. And if you keep doing this, when you finally die, you're going to go to hell. Ted would not change. He would decide that hey, you know what? It's worth it for the next 20 or 30 years, or however long I have on the planet, to do what I want to do to make me happy. And then if I have to go to hell after that, so be it. That's what a guy like Ted, that's how his mind operates. That's how his mentality works. That is Ted Cruz. And so, leave them alone. Leave them lie there. Let them stay there. Let them lay there. Let them be who they are. And you keep living, and you keep moving, and you keep trying to become better. Some of us are still students of life. Some of us are still learning and willing to learn. Some of us are still yearning and aspiring to become better human beings. Some of us want to get better every day. We want to grow and to know. And we know that if we persist at doing the best that we can and being open vessels and humbling ourselves before the universe and being open to information, open to ideas, that we can become even better. I didn't mean to go off on all of that, you all. I ventured off and I digress into some things that I wasn't planning on saying. But at the end of the day, remember, the 1% would have no power if the 99% would vote. The 1% would have no power if the 99% would vote. So today's message is vote. Get out the vote. If you don't vote, you don't count. Vote as you please, but please vote. Get out there and let your voice be heard. Exercise your right to vote, and you will have a voice and a say in what goes on. And I get sick and tired of hearing these idiots yell out, I'm not going to vote because it doesn't affect me, or it has nothing to do with me, or my one little vote is not going to matter. Not understanding, not calculating that your one little vote with my one little vote equals 2. And my one little vote with your little vote and 20 more equals 22. And 200 more equals 222. And 2,000 more, it goes on and on. And if we get enough of these one little votes not voting, we end up electing someone that should not be in office. So get out, get up, get yourself registered, vote, and make sure that we never, ever make the mistake of allowing Donald to have the code to the nuclear arsenal. I am Sherman D. Manning, the author of the new book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. If you do not have a copy, get it. Go to your local bookstore. Go to Amazon.com and pick up a copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice by Sherman D. Manning. And I think you'll find it to be an interesting book. Interesting, if not intriguing. Sherman D. Manning, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Get your copy today. God bless you. Keep hope alive.